Bullpen Cycles. This is my Bultaco Metralla episode. So I thought about doing an episode strictly for the Bultaco Metralla because I bet you didn't know there were so many different models, and there's actually 2 models that are missing here. That's a lot of Metrallas. Most people, when they think of the Bultaco Metralla, they think of the Mark II. So what gave me the idea to do this episode? Well, I was watching one of my favorite motorcycle vloggers, and that's kind of a new term now, Bare Bones MC. He did great footage on the Paris-Dakar race 2 years ago, and he also runs a bunch of long features like the 10 best most reliable bikes. He did one feature, it was the 15 most terrifying two-strokes, and I'm gonna put a link to that in our description. I really like his narration and his history. But anyway, he featured one of these, a Bultaco Metralla Mark II.
The Bultaco Metralla used a 32 horsepower 250cc version of their 2-stroke engine, and the entire motorcycle weighed just 113 kilos or 250 pounds. Now, bear in mind that most cars from that era didn't put out 32 horsepower, and most of the motorcycles that did weighed a lot more. At the time, 100 miles an hour was the target for all fast production motorcycles, and the Metralla could just about get there straight out of the crate. For a time, the Bultaco Metralla was recognised as the fastest 2-stroke street bike in the world. One magazine at the time described riding the Metralla as like throwing a smoke bomb into a hornet's nest and then climbing on.
But I had to watch it over and over again because the footage, it was hard to tell whether it was a Mark I or a Mark II. And that's when the idea in my head, the light bulb lit and said, I should do a video just on the Bultaco Metralla. People don't realize they made 6 different versions of it. So here it goes. Now, Bultaco originally made street bikes, the Model 100 and 101 Tralla. It wasn't until the Model 8, which is this, the Metralla, which means, Metralla means shrapnel, like a bomb blowing up, a hand grenade. Anyway, not a very good name. This is the Metralla Mark I. It's a 200cc 4-speed. It does not have the enclosed chain, and well, if you look closely, single lever front shoe brake. The Mark II, dual lever, dual pressure twin shoe front brake. So there's some differences, but it wasn't until Jim Pomeroy made Bultaco famous here in the United States, and how he did it was, Jim Pomeroy was an American motocrosser that took his privately owned Bultaco to Europe and started cleaning up Europe, beating all the Europeans. Now remember, this was before American motocross took off. So having an American go to Europe to compete against the Europeans and win was a big deal. And that is when Bultaco became famous in America with the Persang. Oh, and that reminds me of something. There's something I gotta do. Hang on. All right, hang on. I gotta get something. Model 120 250 Persang. And when this Model 120 came out, Bultaco decided to paint them blue and white in honor of Jim Pomeroy, who they then signed and made a factory rider. So what we did here at Bullpen to commemorate Jim Pomeroy and Bultaco, blue shirts. If you want to get a blue shirt, Bullpen Cycles, they're going to be on our partner website at metroracing.com, or I'll be bringing them to the shows like I do with the red ones. But remember, Jim Pomeroy replica, or the Jim Pomeroy edition motorcycle they painted, and to commemorate that, blue shirts. Now on to our Metralla stories. So the previous model would have been red and gray, and in a 250 that'd be a model 103. This one's basically stock, but that's a aftermarket performance pipe on it, which takes us to our Mark 1. This is the Mark 1 Metralla, 218 pounds, about 20 horsepower. It's a 4-speed, quarter mile at 78 miles an hour. I don't know the top speed, and you'll notice none of these Metrallas have folding foot pegs, so when you scrape them they break off. That one was poorly welded, so it's broken off. I have to repair that. Model 8 would have made it 8 in the model of Bultacos. Model 11 was the first Persang. That would have been the Matisse, and then a series of boat tails. And that's when Bultaco started making its history in the off-road scene. Now most people think of the Mark II Metralla, and you can see it's got an enclosed chain guard. I don't know if the engine is visibly different to the untrained eye, but it's a 5-speed. This one has a Mikuni on it, and I think it's got a PVL ignition. I bought this at the York swap meet, and I guess that's another video that I'll put up, because the York swap meet, which is held in January in York, Pennsylvania, is a must not miss swap meet. You can find anything from Bultaco road burning bikes to very rare dirt bikes, CCM and stuff. This is a running, going, registered bike, and they made a version of the Metralla, which is also a Model 23. This is a Model 23T for El Tigre. So technically, is it a Metralla? Well, it's a Model 23, which makes it a Metralla. But see that little T on the number? That's the dual sport. Now look, the foot pegs and brake linkage is different. The shift linkage is different. It's got an up pipe, scalloped gas tank, different fenders. And they made a version of the Model 8 that in an El Tigre form that would have been an M8 with a T on the suffix, but those are very rare. Actually, all El Tigres are rare. But in terms of the Model 8 versus the Model 23, they made the Model 23, oh, noise. They made the Model 23 from 1966 to 1974. The Model 8, I think, was 64 through 66. So there's a lot more Model 8s than there are Model 23s. This is also a Metralla. It's a Metralla 250 GTS. And we're gonna light this one up and probably go down the road. Now there's one missing that came between the 23 and the Model 203. That would have been a Bultaco GT. Now the GT stands for Gran Turismo, and the GT would have been 23 horsepower with a top speed of 85 versus 27 and a top speed of about 103. There was a racing kit, a Kit America they called it. You could put it on. I think it's a bigger bore and a bunch of other stuff, and that might get you up to 34 horsepower, but man, you're not getting 37 out of one of these. For a brief period, the Mark II was the fastest production motorcycle, or at least the fastest production two-stroke. It's a fraction of a second slower than a Triumph 650 and perched just above the Suzuki X6 Hustler, which is a twin. So they got good performance out of the Mark II Metralla. Now the purists don't think the GTS is a true Metralla. GTS stands for Gran Turismo Sport, and these were 25 horsepower. They'll do the ton, they'll go 100 miles an hour. The thing is, these were a 6-speed transmission. Still have your double pressure twin leading shoe front brake. This bike is a little heavier. It actually has a battery and turn signals. Totally different switch gear. An ignition key in the dumbest of all places. Still, no folding pegs. And if you took off that totally restrictive cigar pipe and put like a Persang pipe on it, I bet this thing would wake up and probably outperform a Mark II. Not sure. Now this one, if you look closely, it's been dumped. Don't know when. There's a biff there. That foot peg is slightly bent, and it's missing the turn signals, which would go here and somewhere up front. They also don't have the speedometer, which is your typical speedometer mount, mounted via a fork cap. Not hard to do. I don't know what the face of the speedometer looks like for this year. I believe it also would have had a tachometer mounted here. I don't know how the tachometer counts. I don't know if it's electric, it's tied into the coil, because see, I got no valve train. I don't believe there's a crank sensor. It was your standard Bultaco style ignition system in here, so it must have been electronic. And we're gonna fire this one up and go down the road. One thing I want to show is these things, and all Bultacos kick a little weird because the foot peg is right there. I always have my kick lever leaning somewhere around 11 o'clock, so it engages around 1. So when you go all the way down, you don't hit your foot. And if you notice, I kick with my left foot, so if it does come down, it ends right about there, and I'm hitting, if I do hit the foot peg, I hit it with the bottom of my foot. if I'm trying to stand on the bike and kick it with my left foot, you're likely to bust your toes on that peg unless you're able to kick it with your heel. That's why I always kick this way and set up my kicker the way it's set. So now these actually have a choke. So you turn the gas on, turn the key on, which is weird, and it's in a dumb place, and it's got a kill switch. It usually takes a couple of kicks. And it takes some time to warm up. Off, and of course I just hit the shifter thinking it was the brake. Second, third. Boy, this runs good. And it died. Great. Wonder if I turned the choke off too soon. That gas is on. That gas is on. I'm guessing it likes to choke. So maybe by 78 they were leaned out a little too much. There's that rattle, hear it? Of course now it stopped. There you go. Very light. Neighborhood so I can open it up. Oh, I don't have mirrors. I don't want to get stopped. Shifted into first a little too early because I was checking the brakes. Brakes are good. There's that rattle. One viewer says I need to come to a complete stop. So there you go. You can see the retention ponds are full because of the hurricane. See, this is them digging out all the drainage ditches so that we don't flood. I got a little bit of a sticking clutch. One, two, looks like if I open it wide, it needs choke. So maybe something wrong with the slide or the needle, or there's an air leak. I'm running it on a choke. Key, don't forget to turn the key off. Just a little update. Tomorrow, I'm leaving to go to George Ackerman's Moto Barn in Ruther Glen, Virginia. A number of heavy-hitting speakers and some awesome dirt bikes, all from the beginnings of motocross world. So we'll shoot some video from there, and then after that I got another surgery coming up, but no worries, it's not a cancer surgery. I'm having another surgery. I'm gonna have an artificial joint placed in my foot, so maybe I'll walk normal. So I'll be a little bit incognito again, doing videos as I can. Remember to stay tuned, like, subscribe, follow, whatever you got to do, but you don't want to miss the Moto Barn. I'm excited to go there. And again, see you soon. Thanks for watching.